Hello guys, good morning. So in this tutorial, I want to give us the cost analysis of how to run a profitable ready-to-wear business in Nigeria. Now I am going to use our regular two-piece, the vintage shirt and the plain jumpsuit trouser or plain fabric trouser to give us this cost analysis. Now I am not yet going to dive into the senators, the agbada, the suits, and the rest of the male outfits because it will be advisable that you start with the ones you can afford, the ones you can easily sell off, right? So now the first thing you need to know is that a good vintage shirt or fabric, a yard, is being sold at a maximum of 1,600. So we are going to work with the highest price of vintage shirts. Then if you are not buying in bulk, you cannot get them as cheap as 1,400 or 1,500 depending on your source and your contact. Now if you want to buy them in bulk, it will be advisable you go to Aba to procure them. But when you cannot go to Aba, if you want to buy them in bulk, you let me know. I will send you a number, or rather I will put a number on this screen for my contacts I trust in Aba. His name is Obinna, right? So wherever you are in Nigeria, you can send him a chat on WhatsApp and tell him you came from Mr. Redefined. Possibly you also show him my number so he will know that I am the one that gave you guys his number. When you make a payment or when you make payment, he will bill the fabrics. He will send you samples of the fabrics he has in stock. Then we'll bill to your location. You are the one that will pay for the way bill. And then once you receive it, you acknowledge it and then start your production. So I am making this with zero interest or zero gain, but I want to help us, most of us who might need the services of a contact of a fabric dealer in Aba. Even if he doesn't have the one that you like, tell him to help you to get it, and then patronize him as well. He will bill it to you. He's a trusted contact. So whenever you are trying to deal with him, make sure you mention my name to him and also show him my number so that he will confirm that I am the one that sent you to him, so that nobody else will go and claim Mr. Redefined and have any fraudulent activity. So here we start from the vintage and the yards. He sells vintage for a yard for 1,415, depending on the grade and quality as well. So you are still going to bargain with him, but don't bargain too much so that you don't get to have inferior fabrics being shipped to you. Now, if you are going to make a shirt for short sleeve, you are going to use 1.5 yards, right? For long sleeve, you are going to use 2 yards. And also bear in mind that these are for regular sizes. If you happen to have an extra large client, their short sleeve becomes 2 yards, while their long sleeve becomes 2.5 yards. So from my calculation, if you are making with 1,600 per yard times 1.5, right? So you're going to spend 1,600 times 1.5. Sorry, hold on. 1,600 times 1.5, right? 1.5. It will give us 2,400 for 1.5 yards. So if you are working with 2 yards, it will give us, for 2 yards, to give us 3,200, right? That's for 1.6 times 2 yards. It will give us 3,200. Then this guy sells mostly Junko, so vintage, and also he also sells Junkoso and plain. Even if he doesn't have the matching plain, he can help you as well get it from his neighbor or from his other contact as well. Now, when you have all of this calculation, now for the Junkoso fabric, so we are going to work with 1.5 yards for regular fit trousers, and then 2 yards for a light fit or a loose fit trouser. And a yard of Junkoso is being sold for 2,500 to 2,700 per yard, right? So now let's work with 2,700. The reason I am using the higher price is for maximum cost efficiency, so that you will not go and undercharge. So let's say 2,700. So we have 2,700 multiplied by 1.5 yards. So you're going to have 4,050 naira. So if for the 2 yards, you're going to have 5,400. So for the 2 yards, so you're going to have 5,400. So now, since you have known that 1.5 years of Junkos vintage is 2,400. 2 years is 1.5 years. 2 years is 3,200. And then for the Junkoso, you're having 1.5 years to be 4,050 naira, while the 2 years is 5,400. That's for the maximum cost, right? You can get them. And then if you bring 2,400 for 1.5 yards and bring 4,050 naira, you're going to have 6,450, right? 6,450 for a complete set of an outfit, a complete fabric. So if you are going to bring 2 years of them all, so you will have 3,200 plus 5,400. That's, you have 8,600. So you are having 8,600 for 2 yards if you are procuring 2 years of these fabrics, and 6,400, 6,450 for 1.5 years of each of these fabrics. Now, if you are going to add other costs, collar gum, you can buy as many as you want, but let's just keep collar gum for because if you buy 1,500 or thereabouts, I think collar gum is around 1,500 naira now. So if you buy collar gum, let's say 1,500 or whatever price you have gotten, you will also use the collar gum to sew like 3 to 4 shirts. So let's just factor in the cost of collar gum for 1,000 naira, right? But it will not be up to that. So 1,000 naira. Now, assuming you are paying your workers, or you have workers that are working for you, or you want to factor in the cost of production in the sewing process. Let's say cost of labor. Now, the minimum cost of labor you can use is 4,000 to 5,000 naira. So let's just use 4,000 for the shirt and the trouser, right? Now, assuming you are using fuel to sew, so cost of fuel. Now, depends on your generator set you have and depends on how your fuel consumes, but let's just factor it in at 5,000 naira. Right? Now, these are the all total costs you need. Every other expenses, like, okay, your hemming gum, for a designer, you should have those basic things. Hemming gum, buttonhole machine or buttonhole, 400 naira, button fixing and everything. So those ones could be ignored, but it's still not that big. These are the bigger ones. So now if I'm going to give you total with this, so you have 6,450 plus, this is 5, this is 10, right? 5 plus 5, that's 10. So you have 10,000 naira. So total you have here is 16,450 for total costs you can use to produce a 1.5 yards and of shirt and trouser. Then for this, you are going to have 18,600, because this is 5 plus 5, that's 10. If you add this together, you have it to be 18,600. So now you have known that if you have, anytime you are buying a customer's fabric that is 1.5 yards of shirt and 1.5 yards of trouser, you are going to spend 16,450 in the total cost of production. So the charge for this could be 20,000 naira for making this. So you are still gaining like roughly 3,550 here. You are gaining 3,550. So if you happen to meet a client that values crafts and wants to pay you more, you can go as high as 30,000 naira. Do you get? For a simple vintage shirt and trouser. And before you go to this price, you must have made sure that you know how to give a neat finishing, nice sewing, nice fitting. Everything should be properly in line. Then if you're also going to give the cost of this can go as far as 30,000 naira to 35,000 naira. Now bear in mind, the bigger your clients, the more fabric you use and the higher the cost of production. Now, this is a rough estimate to guide you on how to charge, because most customers, most designers don't know how to charge. So these things are what you factor in. Then if you're also sewing for production, this is the least price you can sell your outfits as well. There are some cases where you charge way higher, and there are some cases you charge a bit lower or even at the cost of production. Now, but bear in mind that anything you are making, don't make your price to be too much far from this, or either being too high or too low. So you should fall within this range, and also make sure that you know how to produce or sew clothes very well. You see, the major thing you need to know on sewing is that if you're able to get a good fabric, get a good measurement, get a good drafting, armhole and neck, fitting, ease allowance, get a good finishing, you are good to go. You must not really be a pro, or you must not sew for 5 years or 10 years before you start production. You can even focus on only producing shirts and trousers as a student or as an upcoming designer, and you will make your money from it. You create your niche from vintage, from trousers. There is a guy online that he sews only trousers. Then, when he started newly, his brand name is Pants 101. He sews only trouser, but recently or lately, he now added senators and every other part of male clothing. But he used trouser to build his brand, even to the extent he was known for sewing only trousers, pants only, right? So this video is just to encourage you and to also give you an insight on how to go about the whole production processes. So if you have a question you want to ask in this video. Like I said, I will drop the guy's number on this screen, the one on the left, and my number is on the right. So when you want to get any knowledge or any information, you can go ahead, chat me on WhatsApp for more clarification. If you want to get the fabric from the guy, go ahead and chat him up. He's well trusted. Make sure you use the number on the screen, please. The number on the screen is what I'm going to guarantee. Any other number that you are using, my hands and my legs are not involved in the whole transaction. I'm trying to as well help promote my guy and also help you get access to good and cheap quality good fabrics from Aba. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye bye for now.